Welcome, welcome, welcome. We are back for more ALR Silver action. Unfortunately, I am back in the comments box as well, having missed a couple of races last week. But we are here in Zandvoort, round 15 at the Netherlands circuit, and looking to get the qualifying underway. We have started a bit early, so thankfully for some, we are ready to get going in this session already. And we'll have to have a look and see who's going to be the next first person out on the track. It looks like a Red Bull of Reflection. No, it's Pot Stuff there, taking us away there for the first lap in anger. It will be for this Zandvoort circuit, which of course is round 15 of ALR Silver Season 5. So we are here ready to get going now for the race, or for the qualifying firstly. We've got 15 minutes left of the qualifying session. Of course, we have drivers have been able to get in their cars, but unfortunately we started a few minutes early, so they have been less prep time there for the drivers to get themselves sorted, but I hope they'll be happy to get the race underway nonetheless. We are ready to get going now for the 15th time this season. Of course, 24 races this season. It's a long-ass season. Or I shouldn't say that, really. That's very inappropriate. In my personal opinion, that is what it is. As Wilson's got a 5-place grid penalty there for collision with Bradfield. Hopefully Bradfield is all right. So Pot Stuff there is done and dusted now. He's on his track, on the lap I should say, and let's see what we can do now into Sector 2. We go purple of course in Sector 1, the first driver to set a time in anger. We will quickly run through the championship standings. Hello, says Kaz in the comment section. Good luck to all the drivers as well, as we have got apparently rain in the race itself coming up for this one. So that is one that Silver of course is very familiar with. In the championship standings we saw Nigel there. He came back after his sabbatical, 3 weeks there of course, including the break week that we had earlier, and he's come back with a second place finish there in Belgium last round to extend his championship lead after the fortunes of Equaz and Vanjo just wasn't quite there to be able to undercut or overcut the AlphaTauri driver. Farf there currently in P4, Brabbit in P5, Ultimate Beast there in P6, Dan Murphy P7, Dopey Lemons there in P8, and then we've got Pot Stuff that we just saw set a time there of an 11.4 there, puts himself P2 in the qualifying session there, has been beaten by Equaz, but he is currently in P9 in the standings. The drivers, that is, Kamara there in P10, Bradford in P11, Dylan there, of course, one of the new joiners there in the last few weeks, is in P12 there, of course, with a race win under his belt as well in the Williams car. Reflection in P13, then we've got Irvine in P14, V Todd in P15, Smithy Almighty P16, Cassell P17, and then unfortunately for Craig R, Gordo and Danny, they are just inside the last 3 spots on the driver standings currently. Of course, that is up with a few races to go still as well. In the constructors, we've got AlphaTauri leading the way by 97 points to Aston Martin in P2, Haas in P3, McLaren in P4, Mercedes P5, Alpine there only 2 points behind Mercedes in P6, Red Bull in P7, and then we've got Ferrari, Williams and Alfa Romeo making up the last few positions, but there's still quite a few points to play for, and there's still positions to be gained in this race and of course in the season as well. So stay tuned for that one. We're going to have some action coming up. Apparently we have got rain in the race. I'm not quite sure though. We'll have to find out. Let's have a look and get the comment section up underway, and there we go. Got the all the drivers there back underway as well. Dylan pops himself up into P3. Beast though has got himself up to P1. Of course, we saw him win in style in the Belgian Grand Prix last weekend, or last week I should say, last Monday. Monday is technically not the weekend. We've got a nice there's a Mercedes, or no, it's Alfa Romeo. They're off the circuit at the grass. We should say put a sign there saying keep off the grass, in my opinion. But nonetheless, the drivers have got themselves all sorted. Beast, they're currently on pole position. They're looking good indeed. And that is not too shabby there for the race winner there we saw in last week. Of course, but he had a mammoth stint there on the hard compound tyres last week. Will it be the same for tonight's race? We're not quite sure if it's going to be raining or shining. Right, this might be optimistic, but does anybody where I can listen to full cut? Not quite sure, sorry. I think you'll have to do a Google search on that one, as Brabbit there has set the intermediate compound tyres onto his Mercedes there, not looking, maybe he's doing a bit of intermediate practice. Kamara Racers on circuit as well, good stuff. He's in his Ferrari and looking to get some points there for the red car, and let's see what we can do there in the session as well. Serious Mushroom said yes on the radio, says Gordo. So there's Serious Mushroom there entering the chat there with his usual endeavour, and is back supporting the ALR Silver drivers as well as obviously supporting the Falkirk versus Air football match as well. I imagine that's a football match. I'm not quite sure. So Kamara there puts himself up into P3. We've seen Kamara there on his lovely wheel. Can't remember what wheel he's got exactly, but on the tracks where there's quite a few complex corners, he can get a good lap time together. Can the Ferrari driver? It's just consistency in the races that he needs to improve, and he can get some big points in that Ferrari. So let's see what he can do tonight as well. Fingers crossed for the red car. The other red car of V Todd is currently in P8 as well, so the red car's not looking too bad. Brabham does finish his lap there. He's done a 15.2 there on the intermediate compound tyres, so just a bit of practice there for the intermediates there, I think, from Bradfield as Gorda. I think Gorda's off the circuit there in at the final corner, the penultimate corner there, I should say, just before the banked turn, and he's had a bit of a spin there on the entry to the corner. You don't want to go over the curbs on the entry, and also you don't want to go over the curbs on the exit as well, so it's a bit of a threatening corner that is. He has got himself back underway, and he's just about to start his flying lap as well. Dopey Lemons, his teammate, already on a flying lap coming around the penultimate corner there. We saw Gordo have a bit of an issue there, but look, Dopey Lemons has no problems as he comes round now to finish his first flying lap of the qualifying session. Up to the line, it's going to be an 11.8 there, puts himself into P9 there. Good stuff indeed, just behind V Todd by a few hundredths of a second. Good stuff. What's the weather, says Serious Mushroom? Apparently we don't know. It's one of those ones where it's either rain or sun in the race, that is. At the moment, the qualifying looking a bit overcast. Hopefully you can hear the car audio as well. I'm not quite sure if you can or not. It is on maximum, so hopefully you can hear that. Fingers crossed the car audio is there at least. Brabham there is still going on his intermediate compound tyres, but I think he's just going to come back to the pit lane now. Cordo we saw starting his flying lap. He's into sector 2 now. Let's see what he can do now as he crosses the line for sector 2. It's going to be a 51.382. I'm not quite sure if that's good or bad or not, but we'll find out, of course, when he does complete sector 3 and crosses the finish line to finish off the entire lap. Let's have a look now on board with Gordo. We'll stick on board with Gordo as we come round the bank turn. He's managed to get that one right this time as he comes round the last couple of turns there for the Zandvoort circuit up to the line. I think he had a bit of a slow start to the lap there. He's a 13.4 there, puts himself into P11. Sorry about that. But yeah, I think he had a bit of a slow start. Of course, that wasn't optimised there for his first flying lap, was it? As he had to rectify the issues that he was having as he started off his lap around the last couple of corners of the circuit. Audio is spot on, says Serious Question. Thank you very much. That's good indeed. And V Todd there is back out on circuit. He's done 4 laps there on those soft compound tyres. Maybe looking at a bit of a race run here is the Ferrari driver. We saw, I think it was Lucas Percy last night in gold, which unfortunately ended badly for him in the race itself. Lucas Percy and Geordie Boxtel coming together in the gold race as the championship protagonist there. Unfortunately, they relinquished quite a few points there to Troye, who of course maximised his championship lead now with a win and the fastest lap. Dopey Lemons off the circuit there, just trying to get himself out of the way of the Red Bull coming through. He has done that nicely. Danny's put himself up into P10 there, 12.0 for the Mercedes driver. Of course, got his first point of the season there. Of course, he only has started 2 races so far. This is his 3rd race of the season in silver. But got his first point in Belgium last week out. So looking good indeed. Now we'll have a look and see what Gordo can do. As Gordo, I think, is coming out across the line. He is half a second up. Let's see what he can do. He has improved by 0.3 of a second there, has Gordo. He stays P12 though for the time being, but maybe just setting his sights there, and we'll be able to get back to the pits for another side to lap, or another flying lap, I should say. Bradford there has not improved there on his 19.761. I'm not quite sure what the problem is there for Bradfield, but hopefully he can get himself back out on track. As here we go, then Nigel there coming through. The championship leader, of course, is on track. We saw him race in the gold race last night as well. It might be a bit different conditions there for the race tonight if it's going to be raining, of course, in the race. We had a nice dry race yesterday in gold, of course. So yeah, let's have a look and see what Nigel can do. That he's going to be starting his lap. We'll ride on board with the championship leader, of course, as he goes down towards turn 1 Tarzan corner. And it's very easy to lose the traction on the exit this corner, but it looks like no such problems there for Nigel there into turns 2 and now turns 3. A wrong right-hander, easy to lose the car here as well, and now down into the bank turn of turn 4. Very nicely done indeed, getting on the power as soon as you can, but not spinning the car, because it's very easy to spin the car once again through there into the next complex of corners we go. Turn 6 and 7 now into the long right-hander. Very easy to lose the car here as well, as I did yesterday in qualifying twice. And there we go, he's gone through very nicely indeed now into sector 2. This is more of a straightforward part of the circuit, although the problem with getting on the power through here is maximised, I would say, as it's very easy to spin that car as we put the power down a bit too early now into the DRS, or second DRS straight of the lap, and towards sector 3 we go now. 49.6 there is his time in sector 2 in total, and now through the chicane in towards the last couple of corners here as we go round the entry. Sorry, very nice indeed. Onto the curb on the exit. Very bit dangerous there, I should say. He's managed to keep it off the curb enough to not warrant a spin. Up to the line, it's an 11.1 there from Nigel there, putting himself P3 there, the championship leader. He's behind Pot Stuff there, who's improved to an 11.0, and Beast, who's done a 10.7 there. That's fantastic time indeed from Beast in the McLaren. He's over 2/10 faster than his rivals, or faster than his nearest rival of Pot Stuff. There's good stuff indeed there from the McLaren driver, looking on form indeed. Evening Mushroom, evening Kaz, evening all, says Diggis as well, as we have seen somebody pop up. I'm not quite sure what happened there. Somebody popped up as Brabbit's been disqualified in the session. Not quite sure what's happened to Brabbit there, but he is down the back of the order, and we'll have to find out from him what's happened there. But it's a bit of an interesting one there. I'm not quite sure. We didn't completely see exactly what happened on stream, as he is out of the session there, and that is him disqualified from qualifying. Unfortunately, starting P20 at best is the Mercedes driver, which is a big shame there for Brabbit. Of course, P6 in the championship standings at the moment. So let's see what he can do from the back of the grid, which is probably not where he wants to be, of course. He probably wants to be a bit further up the order. Let's have a look and see what the comment section is saying. Evening all from Diggis there. Just watch the highlights from Gold. Yes, a bit of a late race madness there. I think it was, it wasn't too bad in Gold for incidents. There was only one major incident there, which was, of course, between the championship protagonists of Lucas Percy and Jolly Boxtel. But that is nothing new, unfortunately, in Gold. Hopefully they can get themselves at the differences set aside, let's put it that way, and we can crack on for the next. There's 9 races left in Gold, 9 races, of course, left in Silver as well after this one as well. So still plenty of action to come through the season. We're almost at 2/3 of a race, or 2/3 of a season distance, I should say. So we're almost there indeed. And good evening to all as well, says Diggers. And Nigel racing for his home track as well. So let's have a look and see what we can do. Fanjo there is out on track, but I think he needs to get himself moving. Otherwise, he might be at fault of getting disqualified as well. I'm not quite sure what the Haas driver is doing here. It is not looking good indeed for Fanjo. He's having technical difficulties on that car. It seems to be in neutral. And finally, he's got himself going again. But yeah, that was a bit unfortunate there for Fanjo. Not quite sure what was going on there, because he was having a few issues there. V-Todd put himself up into P6, which is good stuff indeed for the Ferrari drivers, both 5 and 6 at the moment. Sorry about that. Got a cough coming. Well, I think I've had a cough for quite a while, to be fair, and it's just trying to get rid of it now. V-Todd there is looking to get himself underway. Potentially there could be some teamwork here between the Ferrari drivers. I'm not quite sure. He is right in front of his teammate of Kamara Racer, and there's 3 minutes left of the session to go. So the 2 drivers there to get themselves out on track to sell. They're coming back into the pit, so he's got time to get himself on a new set of tyres and to go once again. Craig R currently in P10 as well. Dopey Lemons, I think, has just jumped up the order. He's jumped up to P9 there with an 11.5 there for the Alpine driver. Good stuff indeed. Danny's back out on track. He's a 10.5 up on his current time. Let's see what he can do now as he comes down towards the last couple of corners. The banked turn is a treacherous turn as well, but it's a very nice feeling when you get it right, of course. And you can get the speed through the car, through the track as well, and then on to the main straight. Here he comes now up to the line. What's it going to be from Danny? He's improved by 3 tenths of a second there. Puts him P11, and that's 11.743 there for the Mercedes driver, just outside the top 10 for the time being. But we'll have to wait and see what you can do there in the race. You don't want to park there, sir, because that is a bit dangerous there to get yourself disqualified. We have got a few yellow flags as drivers there just get themselves through the orders. Danny there just getting out of the way of the McLaren of Craig R, who's on an out lap, and we've got Fanjo there who started his lap. Let's have a look here on board with Fanjo there. Of course, the one of the championship protagonists. He's had a bit of a difficult races in a few of the last couple of the last races, I should say, especially Belgium, unfortunately for Fanjo there. But he's looking to get himself back up the order there in this race tonight in the Zandvoort. Of course, let's see what he can do there in qualifying. Currently P8 of 11.492 is his best time so far. Let's have a look and see what he can do on this flying lap. Let's see how much improvement he's going to make. I'm sure he's going to improve on his time. We'll see what he can do now as he crosses the line into sector 2, into sector 3, I should say. He's 4 tenths up on his time. That will put him in the 11.0 realm, and that could be potentially up into P2 there for Fanjo if he can complete this lap time. And can he improve even further as well to potentially get pole position. Let's have a look there as he comes round the final turn up to the line. It's going to be close indeed, I think. Let's have a look and see what he's going to do up to the line. It's going to be a 11-0 there, puts himself just ahead of Pot Stuff currently into P2. There is Fandro. Good stuff indeed, good lap time indeed as well from the Haas driver. Let's have a look and see what his other rival of Equaz is going to do, as I think Nigel there just starting his flying lap in anger as well. Now let's have a look and see what Equaz can do now here in P2 in the championship standings. Let's have a look, and now round the final corner he comes, the Aston Martin there, and again getting the bank to turn spot on once again and up to the line there. Let's have a look and see the improvement it's going to be from Equaz. It's an 11-0 as well. He puts himself P2. He's just ahead. Well, he's ahead by 0.04 of a second there from his championship rival with Fangio. Puts himself P2, does the Aston Martin driver in the championship order. Both Equaz and Fangio qualifying in their current positions. Very nicely done indeed. I think Fangio might be pushing on. No, he's not. He's unfortunately had to call it a day there on that lap. Let's have a look now and see what Nigel can do there. Nigel, of course, looking to get himself further in order to, of course, fight for his championship lead. And across the line he goes. He's, I think he's just starting a lap now, isn't he? Yes, yeah, I think he's just starting a lap there is Nigel. Good stuff indeed. Dylan's popped himself up into P5 currently. He's 11.0 as well. The 11.0s are pouring in now. Look at that gap indeed. It's less than, well, it's less than half a tenth of a second, to be honest, between P2 and P5 at the moment, which is incredible stuff. Nobody can rival Beast, though, at the moment. Beast is improving, I think, on his time as he comes round the final corner. And the checkered flag has fallen there for Dopey Lemons, Danny, and Reflection. Smithy Almighty as well also couldn't get a lap time on board. Here comes Beast, though, up to the line. Oh, he's had a problem there, but he's managed to keep himself going. Kamara Racers retired in the pit lane, I think. So that is him done and dusted in this qualifying session. Beast hasn't improved there, so he is the his pole position for the time being. Equaz there, I don't think it's going to improve. Here comes Pot Stuff. I think we'll stick on board with Pot Stuff. Let's see what he can do there in the Red Bull as he comes round the final couple of quarters as well. Now we've got a Haas driver spinning off there. I don't think it's Fangio. I think it's Wilson had an issue, and that is his qualifying done and dusted. Here comes Pot Stuff though up to the line. What can he do in the Red Bull? Can he improve? He's not improved there. He stays P4 for the time being. Dylan coming across the line next. I think he's on his way back. Here comes Nigel now up to the line. What can he do there in the Alpha Tauri? He's up to P3 there into the 11-0s once again as well. The championship protagonist, well, championship leader, I should say. So that is incredible indeed. Look at that. P2 11.009 and then P6 11.077. That is pretty good indeed. We've got Craig R still to come across the line. No, he's decided to abandon his lap time. He's going to be starting P8 for the time being in between the two Ferraris. Equaz has said Gordo. I'm not quite sure what's happened there. P1 it says Ultimate Beast there. Let's go as well. He's looking good in P1 as well. He's almost he's 2 tenths at least, just about 2 tenths of a second ahead of anybody else, and that is looking formidable in this one as well, especially if he can hold that in the race as well. 2 tenths per lap, that would be pretty good indeed over 36 laps. Let's see what he can do in the race. Of course, Craig R is we're just waiting for Craig R. There he is. He's backed himself up into the pit lane, and there we go. We'll have a quick rundown of the qualifying classifications before we get into the race in about 2 minutes time. Good stuff indeed. There we go. Ultimate Beast there. P1 on his pole position there after his win last week. He's looking to carry on that form, and it looks likely he might do as well in this one. Equaz there in P2. Nigel there in P3. Unfortunately, he was probably looking for a bit better. He's 2.5 tenths off almost from pole position. Fangio there in P4. So the championship protagonists all together there on the starting grid. Pot Stuff in P5. Dylan P6. Kamara Racer in P7. Craig R in P8. V Todd there in P9. Dopey Lemons there makes up the top 10. Farf in P11, Danny in P12, Cassell P13, Reflection in P14, Bradfield there P15, Gordo in P16. I think you might have had a bit of an issue there with Equaz there. So I think that might be an interesting distraction there for Equaz, I think, on that qualifying lap. Fingers crossed it is a-okay. And I think we had Dan Murphy, Smithy, Farf and Wilson there, as well as Brabbit, who of course got disqualified below the 50th place and lower. So that is your full 20 there for the grid. We're just waiting for the strategies now to be sorted out, get themselves loaded in, get the tyres optimised, get the fuel level optimised as well, and get everything all perfected for the start of this race. And then we'll be underway in Zandvoort there for 36 laps there of the Zandvoort circuit, or circuit Zandvoort I should say, get the right way around. And there we go then. We are ready to get ourselves underway for the start of this race in just under 20 seconds time. Formation lap is underway then. We're ready to get going now in Zandvoort as the cars are led away there by Ultimate Beast there. And we get ourselves ready and going for the warm-up of this formation lap. Sorry about that, my nose is full. Here we go then. From the back of the grid, we've got Wilson there on the hard compound tyres. Don't believe it says Serious Mushroom, as I'm not quite sure what's going on here between Brabbit there. Brabbit in P19, Smithy in P18, Dan Murphy in P17. Gordo on the soft compound tyres, interestingly. On the Smithy's been disqualified. I'm not quite sure what happened to Smithy there. But we'll have to reconvene after the race to see what happened there. Dan Murphy, of course, on the hard compound tyres. Gordo, like I said, in P16 on the soft compound tyres. Bradfield in P15 on the hard compound tyres. Reflection on the mediums in P14. And then we've got Cassell there, P13 on the hards. Danny as well in P12 on the hard compound tyres, looking to go long in his first stint of the race, as is Farf in P11, just outside the top 10 for the time being. But, of course, on the hard compound tyres, as Wilson's been disqualified as well. So that is him out of the formation lap. Dopey Lemon, sorry, I should say, is in P10 on the medium compound tyres. V Todd on the hards in P9. Craig R as well on the hard compound tyres in the McLaren P8. Then we've got Kamara there on the mediums in P7. Dylan on the hards in P6. Potstuff in P5 on the mediums. Fanjo in P4 on the soft compound tyres. So looking to go for a very quick start there is Fanjo there from P4. Nigel there in P3, the championship leader on the hard compound tyres, as is the top two of Equaz in P2. And your pole sitter tonight is Ultimate Beast there on the hards in the McLaren as well. Good stuff indeed. We're ready to get ourselves underway. And I will quickly blow my nose. Good stuff. Right. Nigel's been disqualified for not parking in the right location there, so that is going to set him back from his grid slot. But we are ready to get ourselves going, I think, just waiting for Brabbit to get himself into his grid box, and we'll be ready to get ourselves underway there for the Dutch Grand Prix here in Silver. Right then, we've got some more disqualifications there, but we are ready to get going now. The 5 red lights are coming on here in Zandvoort. The 5 red lights are on, and the 5 red lights are off, and underway we are for the Dutch Grand Prix. A good start there from the Alpine, it looked like. Kamara's got a good start there on the medium compound tyres as well, trying to get himself past all his Craig R's off the circuit. Equaz has got himself through. Fandra's got himself through. Dopey Lemon's got a 5-second penalty there for a severe collision. Yellow flags already as a safety car has been brought out from lap 1, from turn 1. Kamara there has had an issue as well. And that is a chaotic start indeed. Favre dropping down the order. Dan Murphy's got a penalty as well. Not quite sure what happened there, but unfortunately there for safety. I think it's a safety car. No, it's a VSC, I think, unless the safety car has got himself somewhere in the queue. But I can't find out where it is. It seems to be a VSC only at the time being. I'm not quite sure what happened there. Bradfield dropping down the order. Wilson up into 15th for that. I'm sure there's some sort of incident there. As Dopey Lemons has picked up a penalty there for a collision, it said, with Craig R. Craig R's now down the order. But he's still going, thankfully. But it looks like he's got no front wing there on the McLaren. The VSC has popped himself back in, and we are back underway. Here comes Beast. Beast under pressure now from Equaz there into Sector 2. We'll come back to the shenanigans off the start very soon, but unfortunately a few drivers there having a few issues off the start of the race, and that is not good news indeed. Very uncharacteristic there from Silver as well. But we've got a few pit stops, I think, for the drivers there to make to get themselves sorted as well. Beast there carries on in the lead of the race. Around the final quarter there to cross the line for the first time. 36 laps, of course, around here. Equaz there looking to stick with him as well. But Fanjo there on the soft compound tyres is going to have extra pace there. Down the inside, he's gone deep there into turn 1 round Tarzan corner. Equaz has cut back. But here comes Fanjo now around the outside. He's got the move done on those soft compound tyres up into P2. And he's got the move done. Fantastically done indeed there from Fanjo. He's managed to keep it clean as well. Great move indeed there from Fanjo in the Haas. He's got himself up into P2 there after 1 lap as well. To gain 2 places as well, I should say. Completely messed that up, but there we go. As Fandra there has got some pit action there. Dan Murphy, Craig R, and Cassell there. Dan Murphy's got a wing change, as has Farf as well. I think Cassell also into the pits for a wing change as well. We call Craig R without a front wing as well, so he's got himself back underway. Kamara's got a right end plate missing there on the Ferrari, so I'm not quite sure what's happened to him as well. I don't know if he came into the pits there on the last lap or not, but there is damage there on the Ferrari car as well. Dylan's got himself past Nigel. Nigel's got a problem here. I think he's got under pressure now from Dopey Lemons as well into the chicane, and I think there's contact there between the two of them. They're the right front wing almost making contact with the rear of the Alpine there. Nigel dropping down the order there. He's dropped down to P6, is the championship leader. His rivals of Ekaz and Fanjo there are out in the lead, or further up the order I should say, as here comes Fanjo now for the lead of the race. He's up into P2, up into P1 I should say, already on lap 3 there. Was his start lap 3 there. Good stuff indeed. He's up into the top position now. He's got to try and get himself as far away as possible from Ultimate Beast there on those soft compound tyres in the next lap or so. Of course, DRS is now enabled there for the overtaking of, well, the aid of overtaking, I should say, along the main straight, and of course down the middle straight there of Sector 2 into Sector 3 as well. Dylan there trying to click on there to the DRS range, in the DRS range there of the Aston Martin ahead of Ekaz. He's just about within that range. Nigel there, I'm not quite sure what happened to Nigel. He's had a bit of a difficult start to this race, but he's got himself back underway. Which is good news indeed. Kamara there has entered the pit lane to get himself sorted. I think he has got a front wing change on that car. He has served the penalty as well. So Dopey Lemons now is the only driver yet to serve his penalty. Unfortunately for Kamara Racer, we didn't see what happened there to the Ferrari driver. The same for the likes of Dan Murphy, Craig R. We saw what happened with Craig R. I think he's had a bit of a spin of contact with Dopey Lemons there off the starting grid, and he had a bit of a spin. I think he got spun out there by the Alpine potentially, but we'll have to rectify any issues or any incidents after the race. Of course, we'll have to keep ourselves going there for the next 33 laps or so, and just get to the finish line is the most important thing. As I think Craig kicking the wall backwards says Serious Mushroom there in the comment section. I'm not quite sure if that is not quite sure exactly what happened there. We did see the McLaren go off at the starting grid, and I think it might have been a bit of assistance. Says Danny's got Danny and Reflection battling away into Tarzan corner. Reflection takes up that P10 position just about. He has got the move done there on the medium compound tyres. Let's switch to the tyre compounds, because then we can see what sort of performance the drivers are going to be using at the moment in terms of their tyre compounds. And Brabham up into P12 already after 3 laps now really, from P20 on the grid. He's done a great job there getting himself through the order unscathed, has the Mercedes driver. And now maybe a bit of team orders will come into play there between himself and his teammate Danny. For the fastest lap of the race, of course, he has had to make a stop. Dan Murphy and Craig R into turn 1. Dan Murphy sets the fastest lap of the race there. That is his current extra point there for the Aston Martin team, but trying to get himself past Craig R is making himself a bit slower, I think, in this stage of the race. The Aston Martin looking to make a move there on the McLaren very, very soon, as Kamara there is further back, but of course has switched onto the hard combat tyres, so looking to go long in this race, hopefully he can get himself back in the order, potentially with a safety car or a VSC. He can get himself further up the pecking order in this race. But Fanjo there currently checking out in the distance. He's still within DRS range though, his Beast in P2. Yellow flags in Sector 2 as well. Let's have a look and see what's going on there. It's Favre, I think, down the order. Favre losing position there to Craig R and to Dan Murphy as well, unfortunately for the AlphaTauri driver. Both the AlphaTauris having issues. Cassell's dropped down the order as well. Cassell having a spin there at the same corner there. He's got himself back underway and can get himself sorted and carry on in this race. But yeah, unfortunately not too much luck at the beginning stages of this race for the bottom 5 at this stage of the race. Of course, hopefully it will come back to them in the latter parts of this one. But out in front there, the Beast has got the gap down there to almost 2 tenths of a second at one point there, wasn't it? And so looking like those hard combat tyres are definitely warmed up to the occasion now, and are looking to chase down Fanjo for the lead of this race, or to reclaim the lead of this race, of course, for Beast. Craig R and Dan Murphy have switched places now into turn 1, and they're going to go side by side through here. That's going to be very tight indeed, but he has made the move there, has the Aston Martin up into P16 now. He's got an 18-second gap there to Wilson, of course, but I'm sure that gap will come down now with the fresher tyres and, of course, the fresh air in front of them as well. Wilson is in the queue, or he's not in the queue actually, he's 9 seconds behind Bradford there in P14. Smithy Almighty there in P13 is chasing after the Mercedes pack, and Brabham was going to try and get himself past his teammates. Ekaz there sets the fastest lap of the race there so far. Good stuff indeed from Ekaz. Dopey Lemons is going for a move there on Dylan now around the outside there of turn 1. Can he make that move stick on the medium compound tyres? Of course, he's got the more grip, the more speed. I would imagine there. He's go down the inside there into here. No, not quite. Dylan there covers off the move. Very nicely done. Well defended indeed from Dopey Lemons. Now Nigel's having a sniff there on the Alpine. It's getting close indeed between these 3, and we've got Pot Stuff there joining the fray as well in the background. Then the Red Bull looking good indeed, and looks like he's going to go round now into turn 7. I think it's turn 8. I think it is, and the order stays the same as it is for the time being as well. So that is that done and dusted and we have no position changes for the time being. Anyway, Dylan there dropped off the back there of the top three setting the pace, super pace indeed, I should say, from the top three. Look at that, they are almost 2.5 seconds ahead of Dylan there in P4. Dylan now is under pressure from the Alpine of Dopey Lemons there in P5. Nigel there all over the back of them as well, and Potstuff has joined this battle as well. V Todd is not too far away either as well, which is looking good indeed for the one Ferrari. Unfortunately, Kamara raced down the order, as he said that he's been apparently there's been he's been hit there as Wilson. As Andrew is in the pit lane already, he's decided to call it a day there on the soft compound tyres. He's coming into the pit lane. That is a very early stop indeed. He's going to have to go onto the hard compound tyres potentially to get to the end of this race. It might be a bit of a struggle even then as well. So let's have a look and see what he's going to go onto. He is onto the hard compound tyres. He's going to be out ahead of his teammate, I think, but not ahead of Bradfield. It might be close actually indeed between the two of them. They're going to go around Tarzan corner together. Bradfield, I think, on the exit there is going to have the extra speed, of course, having to come out of the pit lane there. But here comes Fandra now slotting back out into P14, and that is the first stop, or first scheduled stop, I believe, of this race so far. Dopey Lemons there has been released up into P3, and Dylan now right on the back of him. Now Dylan has been passed by Dopey Lemons there up into P3 there for the Alpine driver. Of course, with a 5-second penalty to serve as well. When that is either that's going to be when he makes a pit stop, or it has to be when he makes a pit stop. Otherwise, unless it rains, in which case he can carry on, I suppose, and not have to make a stop at all. But technically, he has to make at least one scheduled stop if it remains a dry race, and that will be onto either the hards or the soft compound tyres, and that will be when he serves his 5-second penalty in the pit lane. But out in front now, Equaz is trying to keep up after Ultimate Beast. Beast has got done a great job there of extending the gap there. He's almost a 1 second away from Equaz as well. He's got great pace indeed in that McLaren. Nigel's got himself past Dylan, has he? Down the inside goes Dylan there, but Nigel, I think, going around the outside has held the position. He's up into P4 there as Reflection and Gordo switching places as well. Gordo is trying to get himself past the Red Bull there and up into P8, but no, Reflection carries on in P8 for the time being. Brabbett's got himself up into the points. Great stuff indeed from Brabbett. Oh, almost in the back there of the Alpine. There is Fanjo and Bradfield there having an issue there into turns 1 and 2, and Bradfield they're just backing off there. I think he almost went in the back of the Haas driver there, and Bradfield there, Fanjo there up into P13. Yellow flags for Craig R. Craig R's had an issue there at the exit of the final corner, and he's got himself back underway, thankfully, and he's going to be almost caught up by Farf now. Farf coming through to finish off lap 8 for the AlphaTauri driver, or finish off lap 7, I should say. Right then, we've got a very long stint indeed coming for Fanjo if he can manage it on those hard compound tyres. He's done 7 laps there on the soft compound tyres from the start of the race. He's called it a day as Equaz has lost the DRS range of the McLaren of Ultimate Beast. Beast setting the pace at this stage of the race. He's looking great indeed, is the McLaren there, and let's have a look and see what's going to happen in the background. There's these 4 cars, almost 5 cars now with Nigel, with V Todd as well. Nigel coming down into turn 1, no moves made. Potstuff and Dylan though down the around the outside, I should say, goes Potstuff. Can he hold the position there? He has done, I think. Almost it's going to be side by side into turns 2 and 3. Close indeed as Dylan holds the place. Good stuff indeed. Good defending as well from the Williams driver. Gordo's in the pit lane. He's called it a day as similar to Fandra. I think he's going to be, no, he's called on the soft compound tyres again, I think, has Gordo. So he's decided to go for the softs once again, has Gordo. Interesting strategy call there from the Alpine driver, potentially. However, we'll have to make another pit stop unless it does rain very soon. But he's done 8 laps there on the soft compound tyres in the first stint, and now back on the softs again for stint number 2. So I'm guessing he'll try and go to the mediums in the third and final stint of this race for the Alpine outfit. Good stuff indeed for Gordo. He's doing a good job there. He was doing a good job. He was in the points, and now he's got to try and get himself back up into that top 10 as well. Looking good to see what he can do. Brabbett and Danny there are doing a good job there in the Mercedes outfit. They have switched places, and now Brabbett trying to push himself on after Reflection in P8 to get himself further up the order as well. Danny needs to stick with his teammate there and get himself pulled along, but he's lost DRS at the moment, it looks like, to Brabbett there. Smithy might be interested in this one as well, because Smithy might be wanting to pounce for that P10 position there. We'll see what he can do. Fandra bringing that gap down now to Smithy, to the top 10 I should say, as well, quite quickly indeed. It's now 8 seconds to Smithy from Fandro as well, so looking to bring that gap down. Gordo, I thought was going to go on the hard compound tyres. Maybe there was an error there in the pit stops, but I think if he carries on those soft compound tyres, he can potentially just switch to the mediums in about 7 or 8 laps time and get himself back on the order, back in the order, I should say, on the medium compound tyres. Favre has got past Craigar. Oh, there's contact between the two of them there, and that was a bit of an argy-bargy there from Favre, putting his elbows out there, wasn't he? And I think Craigar will be looking to return the favour down into turn 1 with the DRS assistance as well, if he can keep hold of that AlphaTauri, I should say. He has been able to stay within the DRS range, and now looking to get himself back down the order. Kamara is bringing that gap down as well between these drivers, now down to 15 or 16 seconds, and it is coming down in Kamara's favour as well. So hopefully Kamara can join up to the back of the queue very soon indeed. The gap out front, almost 2 seconds for Ultimate Beast there. He's done a great job there of extending the gap there to Equaz. I don't think Equaz can fight back just yet. He's going to have to try and conserve, try and think of another alternate strategy there to get himself back in the race there ahead of the McLaren. But it's going to be one hell of a challenge there for Equaz to try and do that, because his Beast is setting the pace, and setting a pretty unprecedented pace at the moment as well. Great stuff indeed there from Ultimate Beast there, looking to get 2 wins on the bounce if he can. In this one as well. So we've got 11 laps there done and dusted. Now we're on to lap 11 or lap 12, I think, very soon. Nigel there has got himself back in the DRS range there of Dopey Lemons there. The medium compound tyres, I think, might be through their best phase right now. I think we can do about 15 laps or so on the medium compound tyres. So we'll see what they can do there in this the last sort of phase of this lap as well. We've got yellow flags in sector 2. I think it's for Kamara. They're just getting out of the way of the race leaders. Unfortunately for Kamara, he's not having a good time there, and he's been lapped by the race leader at the moment, Ultimate Beast there, and I think Equaz is going to come through very soon as well, which is a big shame there for Kamara there. Hopefully, if there is a safety car something there, he can get himself back in the order. If the leaders were to pit as well, he can get himself back on the lead lap as well. But hopefully he can just carry on, stick it out for the next few laps or so, and can get himself back up the order as well. Same for the likes of Dan Murphy, who has brought the gap down to Wilson to now 6.7 seconds. It is coming down quite quickly indeed. Of course, Wilson on the hard compound tyre, so it's on a bit of a different strategy for the time being. Gorda there on the soft compound tyres is looking to get himself back up the order and get himself within the range of Bradfield there. Here comes Fangio now round the final corner. He's now 6.9 seconds behind Smithy there, so the gap's still coming down. But I think with the DRS assistance, he's being pulled along there, Smithy, by Danny and by Brabbit as well, who are all behind Reflection at the moment. Brabbit hasn't been able to get himself past the Red Bull for the time being, so we'll have to wait and see if there's going to be a battle through the ages very soon indeed between these two. But at the moment, the Mercedes, they're just happy to sit behind the Red Bull for the time being, it looks like, for this stage of the race. 29 laps on hards, says Serious Mushroom. He's done the maths in the comment section, so he's going to do 29 laps is Fangio on the hard compound tyres. He's done 5 already, and you're going to have to go a bit further for that one to see if he can get to the finish line on this occasion. I think it might be a 2-stopper here from Fangio. Potentially to go softs again. We'll have to find out if he's got a fresh set of softs. That might be, of course, a strategy there to go a bit further in the final stint, or to go a bit further in the middle stint, I should say, and then go on the soft compound tyres towards the end and potentially get the fastest lap point as well. Here comes Nigel out with DRS assistance down towards turn 1. Can he get himself past the Alpine of Dopey Lemons? Dopey Lemons there covers off the move, and he keeps his P3 for the time being there. Just Dopey Lemons, good stuff indeed, and that is him done and dusted. Well, that is the move done and dusted there for Nigel on this occasion. He's going to have to sit behind that Alpine once again and stare at that lovely blue and pink diffuser as well. And let's have a look. The diffuser is actually black, isn't it? So the rear wing, I should say, is blue and pink. There we go. But Nigel there is still all over the back there of Dopey Lemons for the time being. Those medium compound tyres just about holding on for the time being as well, as Dylan there stays in P5 there for the time being as well. As it looks like the medium might be dropping off for the time being, as I keep saying, the time being for some reason, but Dylan there is holding on to P5. Pot stuff there in P6. VTOD there is sticking with these two as well in P7. Looking good indeed for VTOD. If he can hold on to this, will be a good points haul indeed. So let's see what he can do in this race once it develops into a bit more of a race as well. I think we've heard from Wilson in the comments that the rain is coming in the session in a few minutes, so potentially that is why we're seeing a difference of strategies there for some of the drivers there. Fangio there is hoping that the medium runners will have to make a pit stop before the rain starts to fall, and I think then he'll get himself back up the order. Dopey Lemons at Nigel into turn 1. Nigel's made the move up into the podium places there. Up into P3 goes the AlphaTauri driver, and Dopey Lemons there slotting into P4 for the time being, and that he's going to have to try and keep himself away from the clutches of Dylan as well. well. Dylan on the hard compound tyres is now just about 1.1 seconds behind the Alpine here, so it's going to be very close indeed. Dylan might smell some blood as well and potentially try and get himself up into P4 as well. Todd there is looking good indeed. I think potentially if we've got some rain coming in 10 minutes is what we've heard, we could potentially see the hard compound tyres last that long. I'm not sure if the mediums will be able to hold on for another 10 minutes though. We'll have to find out, and I'm not quite sure what the strategy is from Gordo as well. Gordo there, if he's got 10 minutes to go on those soft compound tyres, will really be struggling as well, I think, potentially, but we'll have to wait and see what the call is going to be there from the Alpine outfit. Of course, Dopey Lemons has to serve a 5-second penalty when he does pit as well, which was picked up from the first lap, or before the first turn even, wasn't it? So we'll have to make that, we'll have to call that as soon as he gets into the pit lane. It will have to be held there for 5 seconds before the mechanics can get to work on the car. And we've done 15 laps there, we've done 14 laps there completed. And Equaz now is 3.1 seconds off the back of Beast. Their Beast is really setting a fantastic pace here indeed, isn't he? Look, he's extending that gap corner after corner, lap by lap. And Equaz there is struggling to hold on. Nigel got himself up into P3 now. He's got a 3.8 second gap though to his to the rival of Equaz in this championship. We've got your blue flags being waved there for Kamara. I think unfortunately for Kamara, he's having a difficult race, but he's managed to stay in it for the time being, which is good news, which is well, fair play to him as well for sticking at it as well. If he can time it right, potentially if he goes onto the wet compound tyres a bit a lap earlier or so than the others and gets the call right, he could potentially get himself back on the lead lap if some other drivers do struggle as well. So we'll have to wait and see what happens there for the Ferrari driver, but hopefully he can get himself back in the race. Dopey Lemons is clinging on there to Nigel. Dylan there is back within DRS range now of the Alpine and the AlphaTauri as well. Pot stuff being brought with him, as is V Todd as well. Reflection dropping off the back of this group. Unfortunately, with Brabbit is sticking with him. Danny is also staying within range of his teammate for the time being as well, which is looking good indeed. And Smithy there is on the brink of the points paying positions as well. He's 9/10 behind P10 at the moment. He needs to stay within that DRS range there to carry on with his pace there. Dan Murphy's off the circuit. He's had an issue there, I think. He's got himself back underway. He's been passed there by Cassell, but he's got himself back underway. He's been sorted out. He's spun that car back around and can get himself back into this race, I should say. Out in P12, or down in P12, I should say. 3.7 seconds there is the gap between Fangio and Smithy there for P11. I'm not quite sure if the rain does start to fall very soon that Fangio has made the right strategy call here. He's down in P12. He's not been able to make any moves up apart from getting past Bradfield there on this stint of this race, and unfortunately I think, like I said, starting on the soft compound tyres, the gap was a bit too much there for Fangio there to get himself back up the order if the rain does start to fall in the next, well, I think it's about 5 minutes now, isn't it, between here and when we were told the rain was going to start. So we'll have to wait and see when it does start to fall. Fangio there in P12, he's got a 3.5 second gap now to P11 there. He's going to have to get himself quite far up the order. They will have to expect the medium runners maybe to pit very soon indeed, unless they're going to try and hang it out there to the rain. But unfortunately, if the rain does start to fall, we're expecting the rain in the next sort of 5-10 minutes or so, then that might be a bit too much there of a push there for the medium compound tyres to get to that range, and we might see a few punctures potentially for some drivers as well, which will be very difficult indeed. Here comes Brabbit now into turn 1. He's not made the move here. He stays behind the Red Bull of Reflection, and the gap there between Reflection and VTOD has increased there to 5.4 seconds. So this is costing Brabbit and potentially Danny and Smithy as well the ability to get past the Red Bull and then get themselves after the top 7. VTOD there is just lost out of DRS range to Pot Stuff, but Pot Stuff is just getting past the lap car of Kamara. It's going to be VTOD now in the Ferrari there to lap his teammate, which is a sad sight indeed, unfortunately for Kamara Racer, and it could have been here or hereabouts as well, because we did see the Ferrari start very close together in the qualifying session as well. Sorry, at the beginning of the race they started, I think it was P8 and P9, wasn't it? I think, or P7 and P9, something like that. So it was very close indeed between the two of them. VTOD there up into P7 for the time being. And Brabbit has got himself past Reflection now. He has made the move there, has the Mercedes driver now. Can he get the pace underway in that Mercedes to get himself ahead of, or further ahead of Reflection out of the DRS range, and get himself up the order towards the likes of VTOD in the Ferrari and the rest of the pack further ahead? Of course, the DRS assistance is going to help the help these drivers out for the time being. That is, as VTOD there is currently staying in P. So Danny's through as well. Reflection in the pit lane. So there we go then. They're calling it a day there on the medium combine tyres. Potentially with the rain falling, we might see the softs go on here. Note reflection onto the hard combine tyres. So he's going to the hards, and potentially that would mean we don't have any rain coming. So that will be an interesting strategy call there if it was. Reflection coming out the pit lane now. He might just be ahead of Bradfield. I think he might be behind Bradfield here. Yeah, Bradfield's gone through there into P12 there. Has the Alfa Romeo there, and Reflection now in P13, dropping down the order for the time being. And so he's going to get those hard compact tyres warmed up. Bit of an interesting call there if it is rain coming. So yeah, we'll have to wait and see. And Gorda there in P14 there. He's 4 seconds behind there, the Red Bull of Reflection for the time being. But like I said, potentially, if there is no rain, can go onto the medium compound tyres in a lap or two's time and then get himself underway for the final stint of this race. Craig R is in the pit lane. He's got a 5-second penalty for speeding in the pits as well, unfortunately for Craig R, which is not good news there for the McLaren outfit. He will have to add that to his race time if he does complete the race, I should say. That will be added onto his race time, because I don't believe he will need to pit again if he is going onto those. He's going onto the hard compound tyres, it looks like. So that will be him to the end of the race for sure. Dylan there is sticking up behind Dopey Lemons. Dopey Lemons has lost 2 seconds there to Nigel. Nigel's got great pace indeed in that AlphaTauri. He's got the gap down to Equaz 2 seconds now. It was at 3.8, wasn't it, when he made the move there, getting past the Alpine of Dopey Lemons. So that is great pace indeed from the championship leader. Though here comes Dopey Lemons and Dylan and Potstuff. VTOD just dropping off the back there of the DRS range for the time being of this group, but he's doing a good job there of clinging on where he can, which will bring him back up the order. The drivers, I think, might be hanging on. I think there is potentially rain coming still, because the drivers there on the medium combat tyres are still hanging on. The likes of Dopey Lemons, Potstuff, Brabbit and Smithy, all in the points paying positions for the time being, and all on the all on very old medium compound tyres as well. Picture quality has gone poor, says Serious Mushroom. It seems alright on my phone. Not quite sure what's going on there. So hopefully it is just on your end, my sir, and you can reboot, refresh your stream, see what happens. But maybe it's just me. But fingers crossed it is. Fingers crossed it sorts itself out. Into the pit lane, we've got some action there. VTOD there. No, not VTOD. It was VTOD had a bit of an issue there, it looks like, though. So into the pit lane goes Potstuff from P6, I think it was, and he's onto the hard compound tyres. So he's called it a day there on the medium compound tyres. Onto the hards goes the Red Bull. And out of the pit lane there, he comes out towards towards turn 1, but in P11 there, he's behind Fangio now. Fangio's got himself up into P10. He's back in the points paying positions, and he's right behind Smithy now as well. So let's see what he can do here. I'm not quite sure. Hopefully the issue has sorted itself out, Mushroom. But it seems all right, like I said, on my phone. But I think there's I can see the issues, but I don't think they're not as bad. I'll have to sort them out for the next stream. As Gordo is in the pit lane as well. And he is going on to the medium compound tyres. There is the Alpine driver then towards the end of this race. Let's see what he can do there. Hopefully he can get himself back up into the loftier positions there for the Alpine driver. Like I said, Fangio there right behind Smithy. This is going to be a lot of pressure there on Smithy's shoulders, as here comes one of the championship protagonists there of Fangio there, and looking to get himself up into P9 potentially. There is a lapped car, I think it's Craig R there in between the two of them for the time being. But hopefully that will be sorted itself out very soon indeed. Here comes Nigel. He's got a less than a 2-second gap now to Equaz as they look to resume their championship fight. Dopey Lemons has been passed there by Dylan. I think those medium compound tyres, as we can see here, I think it's Camara Racer there on the hard compound tyres. I think the hard compound tyres are the way to go for the time being now. Dopey Lemons there has done 20 laps there on those medium compound tyres, and I think they're starting to drop off now, and that is their optimum performance done and dusted there, as he's lost the DRS now to Dylan there in the Williams ahead of him into P4. No, I think there is a bit of blurriness there, Serious Mushroom, but and I think it's just the encoder thingy, but it's not too bad on my screen. I think it just goes a bit blurry every now and then, but I will sort that out for the next stream, of course, which will be, well, for me, it will be the 100% race, but we've got Bronze tomorrow night, who are going to be here at Zandvoort as well, and then, of course, the 100% race on Wednesdays is going to be on the Wednesday. But here comes Fandra there. I completely ignored that move. It was a fantastic move indeed, round the outside there of Smithy, one of the candidates there for overtake of the season, and I completely missed it, to be fair. We did catch the end of it there, which was a good move indeed there from Andrew. Up into P9 there is the Haas driver, and now looking to get his sights set on the Mercedes pair of Danny and Brabbett as well. Let's see what he can do. Into the pit lane goes Smithy. He's called it a day there on the mediums as well. Oh, very slow indeed onto the pit entry, and that is going to cost him a bit of time there as well. Potstuff's going to take back that P10 and get himself further up the order. I think there might be some more pit stops coming very soon. The medium compound tyres have gone as far as the hards in my opinion. I think the hards would have got lap 20, 22 or so, as Smithy coming out on the soft compound tyres now. He's decided to go for the soft compounds towards the end of this race. Dan Murphy is right behind Wilson now as well. Here comes Cassell in P16 also. So these drivers trying to get a fight on now, as down the main straight we go. DRS is enabled there for Dan Murphy, and let's see if he's going to make any moves there into Tarzan corner turn 1 as well. Is the rain starting to fall now? I think we might have just seen a few raindrops. Smithy White is on the soft compound tyres. That would have been the best tyre to go on if it's going to be sort of a wet, dry track. But not wet enough for the intermediates just yet. I'm not quite sure if maybe that's what the blurriness is. Serious, maybe it's the rain starting to fall, as Smithy's come out in P13. He's not lost too much, to be fair. He was in P10. He's lost about 12 seconds or so to the drivers around him, so that's good news indeed. I think it is just, I think hopefully it's just you, Serious Mushroom. Brabbett and Danny switching places there into turn 1, and the Mercedes there having to switch the order around, as we've got a very weird camera view here. That's very interesting indeed. But now Fanjo there is in P9. He's right behind these two here as well. Brabbett there, I think, on the medium compound tyres might be dying off right now. As you can see, here comes Fanjo there through the order, trying to get himself past the first Mercedes of the night. And here he goes there. Oh, we're on the wrong camera angle. There we go. We can have a look here on the board with the Haas driver. Can he push through before the DRS entry point? No, not quite. He's going to have to sit behind the Mercedes for the time being. Can he make another move round the outside of Brabbett like he did to Smithy there in the last lap? No, not quite. Brabbett defends, going wide there. Gordo sets the fastest lap of the race. That's good news indeed for Gordo. That will be an extra point for the Alpine outfit, and for himself, of course, should he get to that point there, crossing the finish line. Into the chicane we go. Brabbett still not making a move there. Oh, no. Fanjo's still not making a move there, unfortunately. Brabbett defending very well indeed, but I think it's going to be close to losing DRS there on his teammate of Danny. Danny's got the pace now on those hard compound tyres compared to these very old medium compound tyres. 22 laps there, 23 laps at the end of this one on the mediums is no mean feat indeed. Here comes Fanjo though, now down the main straight. DRS is not available there for Brabbett, and Fanjo then moves himself up into P8 there before the braking zone of turn 1, and up into P8. There goes the Haas driver. Rain, I think, has started to fall. I think I just saw a flash of rain. Is it starting to fall now? I think we might have the in the phase of rain. Here comes Cassell there, and I think Wilson has got himself past there into P15. Dan Murphy's got himself up into P14. I think the rain has started in this session. The DRS not yet been turned off, I should say, as we go round the banks turn there for Wilson as well, up into P15. Farf there has got a penalty there, unfortunately, but he's got the medium compound tyres set on that tyre, and into turn 1 we go, side by side there for Wilson and Dan Murphy. A bit aggressive between the two of them, but they made it through. Here goes Gordo into the pit lane. He's decided to call it early. He's on to the medium compound tyres once again, so I'm not quite sure what the strategy is there from Gordo. Into the pits though goes the race leader. The race leader of Ultimate Beast is in the pit lane already. He's on to the intermediate compound tyres, so he's decided to call it very early indeed there, as the McLaren driver. On to the intermediates. Is that the right call though? That it could be a fantastic strategy call there, or it could be a completely wrong strategy call there. As into turn 1 we go. V Todd's got himself past Dopey Lemons there on those hard compound tyres. They've done 24 laps there of each on the mediums as well for Dopey Lemons. As Ultimate Beast comes out in P6, as Danny is in the pit lane as well onto the mediums. Pot stuff up into P9 there because of the moves there for the Mercedes, and I think he might come out just behind Reflection in P11 as well. Bradfield will follow him through as well. It could be close indeed between the Mercedes there and the group behind. Here comes Smithy and Bradfield. Smithy going down the inside there on the soft compound tyres. He's on the curb, and that is not good news there. That is not what he wants indeed on those soft compound tyres. I think the rain has come a bit too late there for the Williams driver. He has had to make a pit stop there 3 laps ago. That is probably why he is under a bit of pressure now to get that move there on Bradfield, of course, with 24 lap old hard compound tyres as well. Wilson in the pit lane for the second time, I think. Sorry, this is the first time there for Wilson. He's in the pit lane. Favre is also in the pit lane as well. 23 laps there on the medium compound tyres. And here comes the next, the new race leader is in the pit lane. Equaz there coming in now. So let's have a look and see what the rest of the drivers are going to do. Nigel stays out. He's up into P1 now, but he doesn't think it's wet enough net for the intermediate compound tyres. Equaz onto the intermediates as well. Ultimate Beast there in P5 there on the intermediates. He's 2 seconds back behind Dylan. Todd stays out as well. He's done 25 laps there on those hard compound tyres. Ultimate Beast back up into P3. Fanjo coming round now to P4. A great recovery there from P4. DRS has been disabled though. It is time for the intermediate compound tyres. So those who stayed out might be on the wrong tyre. Dylan's gone on to medium compound tyres. That is the wrong call there, I think, as the DRS has been disabled. Brabbit coming round now. Or Brabbit coming out the pit lane, I should say now. Here comes Dopey Lemons there into the pit lane. Danny might get a good undercut here indeed on his teammate as well. Reflection is going to stay out, although he should be. I think he might need to come into the pits very soon indeed. Both the Red Bulls are staying out on this lap, so that's going to be a bit of an issue there. I think if they were to both pit on this lap, Danny has got the overcut done on, or the undercut sorry, done on his teammate there. He's up into P9 there is Brabbit, and there's still positions to make up with the likes of Reflection, Dylan, Pot Stuff, and Fanjo there yet to pit. The two leaders, Nigel and Todd, yet to pit as well. There is still some pit stop activity to come here in Zandvoort, and the rain is falling very heavily now indeed, and it's definitely time for intermediates. You can see the McLaren of Ultimate Beast catching up to Todd very quickly indeed. Yellow flag in the background. It's for a McLaren of Craig R. I think Craig R's got himself sorted. He's on the medium compound tyres. He's on the wrong compound tyre. Nigel in the pit lane, and this is it. It's time for the intermediates for sure. Kamara's got a 5-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane as well. Into the pits comes Todd. Beast is going to reclaim his lead, I would say, as Nigel coming down the pit lane. Equaz is going to be slotting into P2. Here comes, who's going to be next across the line? Fanjo's in the pit lane as well. Into the pits comes Pot Stuff, and Dylan will Reflection come into the pits as well. I think Dylan there had a bit of an error there from the game and put him onto the wrong compounded tyre. It must be the case there, I think, as Craig R is going slowly there in as he's retired on the circuit there. 5-second penalty for Reflection for speeding in the pit lane. He didn't need to do that because of course he was double stacking behind his teammate as well. It is a slow stop there for Reflection. Brabbit up into P7. Dopey Lemons there has dropped down to P8 of course after his pit stop as well. Craig R firing on track. Unfortunately that is thankfully not an incident. It's just a accident as Gordon needs to pit for intermediates. He's the only driver so far not on the intermediate compound tyres. As Reflection comes out the pit lane, he's going to be in P11 there ahead of Bradfield, but he has got a penalty of course. That 5-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane there has been picked up there by the Red Bull driver, so that is not good news there for Reflection. He needs to stay or finish ahead of 5 seconds ahead of his rivals there. Dylan there, Pot Stuff, Reflection and Dopey Lemons there really are big losers there unfortunately from that phase of the race. Onto the the intermediate compound tyres now, and they've got to chase down the drivers ahead of him. Brabbit's done a great job indeed getting himself up into P7 there from P20. We're on to lap 28 of 36 there. We've got 9 laps to go in this race. Equaz has now got a less than a second gap to Ultimate Beast there on the intermediate compound tyres. Potentially we might see a switch of play here. It looks like Beast is struggling there on this occasion on those intermediates there, and this is where the Aston Martin looks like he's shining. Potentially the setup is in favour of the Aston Martin in these wet conditions, and we might see a change for the lead very, very soon indeed. Brabbit is also all over the back of his teammate now. They've got a nice cushion there to P8 there in the form of Dopey Lemons there. 3-second gap there between the two of them. So no problems there. Got Gordo's back in the pit lane. He has got himself onto the intermediate compound tyres. Unfortunately, the car did not want to. The strategist did not want to get them on the right compounds. Camaro is off the circuit, and that has caused a safety car. I think. Is that a safety car or is that just another VSC? I think it's a safety car indeed, unfortunately. So that is very bad news indeed. Camaro off the circuit, and he has caused a safety car here, which is very bad news indeed. Hopefully for Gordo though, that will be well, I'm not quite sure if Gordo will be able to get himself back in the on the lead lap. Unfortunately there. Equaz is great in the wet, says Serious Mushroom. He has lost a bit of time there to Peace, but I think the safety car coming out might be the reason for that one, as we've got a safety car on lap 28 of 36 now. Right then, I think we're going to have to, it's going to bunch out the pack quite a lot. It's going to be good news for Fanjo and for V Todd as well. Unfortunately for Reflection with the penalty situation, Favre and Kamara gets a 3-second penalty as well now, which is not good news there for the Ferrari driver. He will be serving his 5-second penalty in the pit lane now, which is good news. You can get rid of that one at least. Yeah, there we go. Beast now is caught up to the safety car queue. We'll be back racing. Well, it's going to be quite a while, I think, till we're back racing, because we've got quite a spread out field, isn't it? So we might be racing again on lap 31. So we'll be back in a couple of minutes, I think. But we've got to wait for all the drivers there to catch up to the safety car queue now and get themselves sorted. I think it was Kamara there who had a spin around this sort of area of the track there on the last lap that caused the safety car. Reflection is coming in the pit lane to serve that penalty as well. And I think that is a good idea there from Reflection. He's going to lose out a few places, but I think he'll be able to get himself back out in P13 and on a fresh set of intermediate compound tyres as well. So it won't be too bad for the Red Bull outfit. I think he might actually lose the place there to Dan Murphy there, but out of the pit lane he comes and needs to get himself underway as quickly as possible as well, as he goes now into Tarzan corner. But there we go then. That is Reflection making an extra stop there that he probably didn't want to make. But he is now out in P14 just ahead of Wilson there. Wilson on 4-lap hold intermediate compound tyres. Of course, everybody having made a pit stop only 4 laps ago at the most on the intermediate compound tyres. Now good news for, unfortunately not good news there for Gordo and Kamara Racer. They have not been, they won't be able to get themselves back in the queue, I don't think. We'll have to wait and see how it all unfolds. Bradfield is almost in the points paying positions now, which is good news indeed. But there we go then. We've got a few more drivers there catching up to the safety car queue. V Todd there, Danny, Brabbit, Dopey Lemons and Pot Stuff and Dylan there. The top 10 almost caught up now. And then we will have to wait for the rest of the pack, unfortunately, to get themselves around the rest of the circuit. But yeah, like I said, I think we might be racing again in 1 or 2 laps time now. Depends on how quickly the back of the field, which is now Farf, can catch up to the back of the safety car train, that is. But we're going to have a bit of a shootout here because it's going to be in the wet as well. We're going to have about 5 or 6 laps, or 6 or so laps to go in this race. Once we get restarted, it's going to be a bit of a shootout. I don't think Kamara was lapping you, Gordo. I think he's on the same lap as you, mate. He's Gordo just put in the comments that he was letting Kamara through. I don't think you need to do that because I think you are racing him. But I think, unfortunately for the both of you, and there's no way of undoing this. You're both on a lap down there to the race leaders. So what's that? Dopey Lemons there trying to warm up the tyres has gone for a spin. And that is him off the circuit there. Bradfield is a bit too far back to capitalise on that. Dopey Lemons there has lost places there to Pot Stuff and Dylan. And that is not good news there for the Alpine driver. He's cost himself 2 places there to his rivals. And that is a big shame indeed for the Alpine driver. He's dropped down from P8 down to P10 there. We just saw that on board. And yeah, he must be kicking himself there in the racing seat after having that issue there. Bradford there has caught up almost to the queue. We're just, like I said, waiting for the likes of Cassell, Wilson and Farf to get themselves in the order. And I think we'll be, like I said, we'll be waiting to get underway on lap 32 there. I think we might have another lap of safety car shenanigans. But there we go. We'll be ready to get going very, very soon indeed. And then we'll be able to crack on for the restart of this race, as Favre is almost going up the behind there of the Alfa Romeo. But like I said, they've got plenty of time to not worry about it for the time being. Into the pits goes Favre there. He's called it a day on those intermediates already. He's done 5 laps on those intermediates, and I think potentially will be looking to get himself on a new set of boots, which will be quite a good strategy call, to be fair, because he wasn't going to lose much in terms of position. Of course, he wasn't going to lose anything on position. So Favre, they're making the call to get himself back in the box there onto the freshest intermediates on the grid, or on the remaining grid, that is. And get himself back underway there as we get ourselves back out of the pit lane there in P17 for Favre. There, he's got get himself back in the safety car queue for the restart of this race. And we'll be back underway very, very soon. I think it'll be in next lap regardless, because of course it does give up on waiting for people if they are just driving around very slow. So yeah, it'll be in next lap regardless. Anyway, we're back underway very, very, very soon, and we're back racing in Zandvoort. Safety car's in this lap, so it's given up already. There we go, good stuff indeed. So Favre now is in a bit of a hurry to get himself back in the safety car queue. I think he'll be able to manage it though, no problems at all. So there we go. Then we've got, like I said, the restart of this race led by Ultimate Beast there. He's going to be taking us away there for the restart, and we'll have to see when he's going to go. Can he go early or can he go? Will he go late? Is the question. Of course, there's no DRS, there's no slipstream, and well, not so much slipstream, of course, with the wet conditions, so he doesn't have to worry about too much. As Farf and Cassell switching places there into turn one, no, into the chicane, I think it is, which is a bit odd, as we've got a Alpine off the circuit as well. Gordo's had an issue, and he's got himself... Where is he going? Oh, he's got himself back underway there as Gordo. I'm not quite sure what happened to Gordo. Back at the restart, though. He's still taking his time. There is Ultimate Beast there. He's going slow for the time being now, as I'm not quite sure what happened there between Farf and Cassell, but they've got themselves sorted. Away we go there for the restart of this race. Anybody going to get caught out on this straight? Looks like Equaz is pushing hard as well. Well, Equaz... Oh, Beast is off the circuit. Beast is off the circuit, and Equaz can't get himself down the inside there. Beast is going to go through, and Equaz is going to go through. Nigel's gone through as well to claim the claim P2. Both of them, with that mistake there from Beast, has cost him the race lead at the restart of this race. Smithy Almighty's got himself past Bradfield, VTOD, and Fandra there battling away as well. But I'm not sure what happened there to Beast. He lost control of the car. We've had an issue there for Reflection off the back of the grid as well. A big shame there for Reflection. Farmer's got himself up into P14 there with his fresher tyres, but Beast there on the restart, he made a mess there of the restart. I think just trying to warm up the tyres, he went a bit too far wide. He swung the car back and he lost control. He went almost in the wall there off the circuit, and that allowed Nigel and Equaz there to come through for the lead of the race there for Equaz, and P2 there for Nigel. Fanjo as well pushing the McLaren there on for that position as well. Dan Murphy and Bradfield battling away into the sector 2 as here comes Dan Murphy now trying to go down the around the outside. It will be for P11 there on Smithy. Down the inside now goes the Aston Martin. He's trying to look his way through for the top 10 positions into the chicane we go. Very nice camera angle indeed, but what a move indeed, and what a calamity there for the McLaren outfit. One driver retired and one driver losing the lead of the race on the restart, and that is not good indeed. That, I think he's got a lot of straight line speed though, has the McLaren, and to turn one we go. No moves made. Here comes Cassell, and Farf has got himself up into P14. Brabbit and Danny have switched places though into turn one. Bit of team orders there from Mercedes potentially. We'll find out as well as the race carries on here. Brabbit's got a 1.8 second gap there to VTOD in P5. He's got a lot of ground to make up, has the Mercedes driver. VTOD doing a great job there. He's going to be he's going to be sort of blocked by his teammate there as well. Is VTOD, but he's still setting his sights there on some good points as it stands at the moment. We're on to lap 33 of 36. We have got 3 laps to go at the end of this one. Equaz going to lead from standing, says Potstuff has made a move. Danny's off this circuit. I know he's not made the move there, as in comes the Williams of Dylan as well. Danny's having issues there, as here comes Dopey Lemons as well. Down into P10 there is Danny. Yellow flag, and we've got a full course caution. It's a VSC as well. I'm not quite sure why. It's not a safety car, thankfully, but we have got a VSC for something or other. I'm not quite sure what that was for, but Danny, they're losing places there. He was in P7. He's now in that in the space of a few corners down to P10, and that is not good news there for Danny. Unfortunately for him, he's not got any wing damage, though. It doesn't look like anyway, so he should be able to carry on in this race. Hopefully no drive-throughs, and that will be a treacherous thing to get if you were to get a drive-through at this stage of the race as well. We're on to lap 34 very, very soon, as Equaz there is ahead of Nigel there in P1. Ultimate Beast there, of course, dropping down to P3. Fanjo in P4. VTOD P5. Brabbit in P6, doing a great job there. He is my driver of the day candidate. Don't give up, Gordo. So it's all good practice. As Brabbit there in P6, Potstuff in P7, and so Danny has got himself. He's having a bit of a position change there. Father's got himself up into P13. Dan Murphy in P. There's contact between Smithy and Dan Murphy, and that is put the Aston Martin down the order. It's being passed by Cassell as well. No damage, I don't think, for the Aston Martin for the time being. Gordo's back in the pit lane, so hopefully he can carry on at least to the end of the race. So it saves him getting any license points for a pit and quit. Just carry on to the end, and then at least finish the race off for the time being. He's only got 2 laps to go. It's not too far to go, but here comes Danny. Now Danny's got himself back underway. I'm not sure if there was a technical issue. Smithy Almighty's off the circuit. He's lost a bit of time there. He's not lost any positions just yet. Here comes Bradfield though. Bradfield's got the move done. Smithy Almighty's lost down into P12 now is the Williams driver. He's had an issue there. Not quite sure what's happened between himself there and Dan Murphy, but now I think he's lost his head there. Has the Williams driver unfortunately lost a place as well to Bradfield in P11, and it looks like Danny has got himself a gap now to Bradfield in P11 as well. 1.5 seconds gap is the gap at the moment. Out in front, the gap is 1 second. But here comes Beast there. Can he get the move back there into P2 at least to try and rectify something from this race? He, of course, qualified on pole. He was leading the race comfortably in the dry, and now it's changed to the wet conditions, and it's gone the opposite way there for the McLaren driver. He's dropped himself down to P3 with that restart on lap 33 or 32, I think it was. But he's got himself back in the right mind frame there, frame of mind, I should say, to get himself back in the podium places. Fanjo's all over the back of them. They've dropped V Todd there by 2.5 seconds almost. Now we're on to lap 35. Brabbitt there trying to get himself after the Ferrari. Potentially can get a P5 on the cards, which would be a fantastic race indeed for Brabbitt if he can manage to get that hold on to that. If he can get up to P6, which he has done, I would say that's still a fantastic feat nonetheless, especially around this circuit as well. Down the order, I should say, Dan Murphy has come off. Gordo's back in the pit lane again, and not quite sure if Gordo got a 5-second over speeding in the pit lane. Unfortunately for Gordo, that is not good news. He's only got a lap and a half to go in this race. If he can just stick at it, he will be at least classified in this race, and he will not get any points there for license points. Any license points, which is Dan Murphy's got himself past Cassell. I'm not quite sure what happened there to Smithy. He's trying to put off Cassell there, unfortunately, into the chicane. We go as a deep on the brakes goes the Aston Martin. No moves made just yet, but this is going to be getting a feisty one indeed, because I think Dan Murphy is trying to get himself back past Smithy there as we go down the round the outside into the penultimate corner there. Not a place for overtaking, I would say, but he's made the move, has Dan Murphy there, up into P12 once again, and can get his sights set on getting off the Bradford there. We're on to the last lap of the race. No moves made out in front at the moment, but Nigel there is trying to cling on to the back of the Aston Martin of Equaz. Equaz doing a great job. Bradford and Danny switching places as Bradford's off the circuit. Well, no, he's not. He's cut himself back on, but I'm not quite sure what happened between Danny there and Bradford. I think Danny might be struggling there. Danny is struggling there. You've got Bradford all over the back of him now, and well, I think there's a bit of lag going on there. That's on my end, because I'm not quite sure what's going on here with Bradfield. Bradfield is, I think Bradfield is having a few connection issues there. So Bradfield is, unfortunately, I think having a few technical difficulties. So that is him out of the running, I think, in this race, as we've got a car stopped on track. It is Farf and Cassell. Farf and Cassell have had an issue there, and that is not good news indeed. So there we go then. But Brabbitt there, back up the order. We'll go back to the race leaders, of course. Here comes Equaz, and he's got a lap car there of Gordo. If Gordo there just lets himself carry on, he can get himself back on the, he can get himself a race done and dusted there. But here comes Equaz now round the final quarter. He's managed to control the race very nicely. He had a big gap to make up on the restart of the race there with, of course, in the dry, but he's won the race there in the wet conditions. A fantastic race win indeed there for Equaz. Once again from the Aston Martin outfit, a great race indeed, and well controlled by Equaz indeed as well. Nigel there in P2 has got himself another 18 points under his belt there after P2 last week as well. Beast we saw get the win last week, but unfortunately he was in control of the race to this one as well, and unfortunately on that restart in the wet conditions cost him, and he dropped down to P3. Fanjo there in P4. Actually a good race indeed from Fanjo. He started P4 as well. V-Todd in P5. Great points indeed for V-Todd. Brabbitt in P6. The driver of the day in my opinion for Brabbitt as well. Good stuff indeed. Pot stuff in P7. Dylan there in P8 as well. Dopey Lemons in P9. Danny there does get another point there in P10 for the Mercedes outfit. Dan Murphy just outside the points paying positions as well in P11. Smithy in P12. Bradfield in P13, Wilson in P14, Farf in P15, Cassell in P16. I think we had Reflection in P17, Camaro in P18, Gordo in P19, and unfortunately the only retirement of the race was Craig Carr in P20. Blimey, that was a race and a half, wasn't it? There we go. We can see Equaz there onto the top step of the podium now, celebrating his another win there for the Aston Martin outfit and for himself as well. Great stuff indeed as he does the griddy on the grid, on the podium, I should say. Good stuff indeed as he accepts his winner's trophy there as well. We have, of course, Nigel there in P2 and Ultimate Beast there in P3 as well, and they'll be in the commentary hopefully in the comments box as well for an interview in just a few seconds though. Brabbitt, Equaz and V-Todd are your candidates for driver of the day. I would have to say Brabbitt from P20 to P6 regardless. Although Equaz there and V-Todd do warrant a vote as well, I would say if you've got an extra vote for Brabbitt there. A fantastic race indeed from P19 I should say on the grid, but really good stuff indeed from the German driver there in the Mercedes. But there is your order there. Equaz there wins the Netherlands Grand Prix. Nigel in P2, Beast there in P3, Fanjo P4, V Todd in P5, Brabbit in P6, Potstuff P7, Dylan in P8, Dopey Lemons there P9, Danny there in P10, Dan Murphy just outside the points in P11, Smithy P12, Bradfield in P13, Wilson P14, Farf in P15, then we've got Cassell P16, Reflection P17, Camaro in P18, Gordo in P19, and the only DNF there of the night there was Craigar, unfortunately in the McLaren there in P20. Right here, and then we'll get the interviews underway very shortly. Let's just get ourselves loaded in to the so hopefully the drivers can hear me. Can you hear me is the question. Good stuff. Right then, we will get ourselves underway. I think we've got Ultimate Beast in here as well.
I'm here.
Good stuff, good stuff. Well, you absolutely started off that race in impeccable form. That pace was incredible, and you set a gap there at the beginning there to Equaz in P2 with about I think it was about 3.5-4 seconds on the dry compound tyres. Were you thinking, what were you thinking in terms of that in the strategy side of things at the beginning of the race?
So on the weather, it said it's going to rain right at the end. So I thought I'll just go on hards. When I saw Fanjo on softs, I just let him pass, and then he boxed. And as soon as he boxed, I was like using my EOS trying to get out of DOS range, which worked. And then from then it was just cruising along, trying not to spin. But the only downside was I was on -2 fuel.
Right.
So I was really hoping for a safety car.
Well, we got one in the end, and unfortunately, it was just after the crossover there to the intermediate compound tyres, and we saw the restart there from yourself. Were you just trying to warm up the tyres, or what went wrong on that restart there?
So yeah, I was trying to warm up the tyres, and I was using EOS at the same time. Don't do that on the straight, apparently. Don't use EOS and warm up your tyres in the wet.
Okay, that's one noted for me. Anyway, I needed that. But yeah, very unfortunate there to, of course, lose the lead of the race at that point. And then I think, obviously, like you said, set up for the dry race, you couldn't get yourself back past Nigel or Equaz there, who of course finished just ahead of you. But nonetheless, it was still a great race from yourself, and it is a double podium there from, of course, your win last week as well. So it's nothing to complain about too much. That is that. We've got, of course, the break week next week, but in 2 weeks' time, there we'll be back for Monza. What's your thoughts there of the Italian circuit there for yourself?
Yeah, I am decent round there, but not as much, nowhere near the pace I got round here. So a podium would be a stretch, I think.
We'll see. Hopefully, we can get you back in the comments box as well. But that is that for the round 15, of course, for yourself. We'll hopefully see you back in the podium or on the podium places there for round 16 in 2 weeks' time. We've then got where's Nigel gone? There he is. Nigel there in P2 tonight. Oh, well, again, back-to-back P2s there for yourself, of course, after Belgium as well, on your return there from your holidays. But what were you thinking there on the start of the race there? You saw, of course, Fanjo there starting on the soft compound tyres.
Yeah, I was focusing on my own strategy, but it was a very hard race. I had no grip at the end of the car, so I was slipping all over the place in the first 5 laps, and it cost me 2 positions. That really fucked up my first strategy. But at the end, we came along, but it was not enough.
We, of course, excuse the language there, guys. But no, it was a good recovery in the end in that case, because, of course, we did see at the very beginning of that race the loss of positions there. I think it was Dylan and Potstuff, I think it was at the time, or Dopey Lemons. But nonetheless, like I said, you got the switch onto the intermediates timed almost correctly. I think it was Beast there who got it spot on, wasn't it? But yeah, what was your thoughts there when you went to the intermediates? Did you know it was time for the intermediates when you got that call?
Yes, it was already time. The tires were really bad. It was almost gone, and yeah, it was the right time.
And you got yourself back up into P2 there after starting just outside. Well, you just inside the points, weren't you? But in the top 3, sorry, I should say. But you got yourself back up into P2 there, obviously with the unfortunate misdemeanors there from Ultimate Beast there on the restart there. And were you able? Did you think you had the pace there to get after Equaz, or was that P2 was the best you could get today?
today was P2 the best in the wet conditions.
And
He
what's
was
your thoughts
too
there?
quick in the.
Oh, sorry.
He was too quick in the wets, and he had a really great pace and really consistent. So yeah, he was really quick today.
Fair play, fair play. That's very nice to hear. And what about your thoughts there for Monza in 2 weeks' time as well?
We need to win again.
All right, there we go. That's that sorted. A win on the cards there for Nigel. We'll see what he can do there, of course, in 2 weeks' time as well. But well done getting back on the podium again. And then we've got our race winner there, Equaz. What a race win that was indeed. I think we saw the gap at the first stint was about 4 seconds almost to Ultima Beast there on the dry conditions, and then it switched to it came down. And we saw it on the wet conditions. It was absolutely flipped on its head. It was your race to lose, wasn't it?
Yeah, appreciate that. Thanks, everyone racing. Ultimate Beast, I think, deserved to win that today. It's a shame about what happened in the safety car, but I think I got a bit lucky with that. The pace of these guys on the softs, in the dries were very, very good. Nigel was catching me up. I think I was like 5 seconds ahead at one point, and then it was like 2 seconds after like a couple of laps. So yeah, was happy with the rain and happy with the win.
Well, it seemed effortless there. Once it switched to the intermediate compound tyres, it seemed you were cruising really. So yeah, I think you seem to be very comfortable in the wet conditions.
Yeah, I really do enjoy the wet weather. I think Fanjo pointed it out one time. Said that it's more harder to make mistakes because you're going a lot slower, which was a really great point.
Well, you must be very thankful that Farf is the lobby host then, because it seems to be a wet race most of the time in Silver. And what's your thoughts then on a wet Monza in 2 weeks' time then?
Monza, what? That's in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, Monza's not too bad. I just need to try finish in front of Nigel. That's really the plan.
Well, fingers crossed. We'll see if that happens there in 2 weeks' time. Of course, like I said, we've got the break week next week, so we won't be back for more silver action next week. We'll have a bit of a rest. Of course, bronze is here in Zandvoort tomorrow night as well, so there's going to be more action there from bronze in round 15 tomorrow night from 7:30 p.m. And then the 100% League will be giving you a nice preview on Wednesday of the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. So come back there for Wednesday night. We'll have from 7:30 p.m. the 100% race around Saudi Arabia as well. So 2 more races there of round 15 to come in ALR, and then of course we've got a break week next week, and we'll be back in 2 weeks' time there for more action as well in Monza. So stay tuned to ALR, plenty more action coming up, and we'll